Joe talks about Joe. And now, your host, Joe Slepsky.
Hello, and welcome back to Joe on JoJExtreme. I am so happy to be back this week to talk about another episode of G.I. Joe Extreme with you guys. Today we're doing G.I. Joe Extreme episode number 4, Chips and a Cold Drink, and I am so happy to have joining me someone from literally the other side of the world. His name is Sven Spacebrain, and he's calling in from Frankfurt, Germany. Sven, welcome to Joe on JoJExtreme.
Hey, man. Happy to be on the show. Cool.
I'm very happy to have you, man. You reached out, and you specifically asked to do G.I. Joe Extreme.
Yeah, there was nothing else left.
I suppose that's a good point. So
of course, I would have preferred like something from the Sunbow series, but it doesn't matter. It's cool anyway.
I love it. Well, Sven, tell me a little bit about yourself. You're from Frankfurt, Germany. You've got a band.
Yeah, my band is called Torpedohead. I'm the singer, guitarist, and basically the front man of the band. And we got our own kind of rock and roll sound. You can imagine something like a 70s stadium rock and roll tape coming through a trashy 90s stereo, digitally remastered today for speeding down the Autobahn. That's how we sound like.
That sounds amazing. And you shared with me your single Heartbleed, and we're going to tack that onto the end of this episode. Is that all right?
Yeah, go ahead, man. Cool.
Fabulous, man. And where can people, once they hear it and once they love it, where can they find more from Torpedohead? Are you guys on YouTube? Are you guys on Spotify? You guys have your own website?
Yeah, we're on all of these. You just have to type Torpedohead in YouTube, and then you'll find a ton of videos, or you can go to our Facebook page, Instagram, all those pages. You just have to have as a band.
I love it. So yeah. Sven, G.I. Joe, and you in Frankfurt in Germany, how does all that come together to make a G.I. Joe fan?
Funny thing is that G.I. Joe isn't really that popular in Germany over
what?
here. Yeah, it's not at all popular. I got to G.I. Joe as a kid because I grew up overseas in Southeast Asia, and yeah, so G.I. Joe was really popular back then, and yeah, all the toys and everything, the cartoon, and it stuck with me for the years after, and yeah, later on I got into the whole comic thing, of course, but it was always something nobody else there shared with me, so I was the only Joe fan.
So Southeast Asia, what country were you in?
That was in Singapore.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and yeah, it was G.I. Joe was really popular there. And, it was like every few years there was like a changing toy that was in, and I think it started with of course Star Wars, and then later on Mask. Does that ring a bell?
Mask,
Mask?
I love Mask. Yeah, Mask is huge.
Trekker's gonna lead the mission. I love that song. It's so cool.
Oh, it's so. Has Torpedohead ever covered that song?
I thought of covering it. It's not that easy to sing because the vocals are really high pitched. It's not that easy, but maybe we'll do it someday.
Has Torpedohead ever done Cold Slither? That's the question.
No, we haven't.
Dare I ask you to do Cold Slither on your next tour?
Yeah, we'll try. Maybe.
I think it would ignite the crowd. They'd fall in love with it. They wouldn't even know that they were being mind controlled. You would just absolutely win them over.
Yeah, they would be like footloose and go like totally mad.
Totally mad. This is awesome. This is excellent. Now, did you maintain the G.I. Joe love like consecutively, or did it drop off and did it reignite recently or something like that?
No, it's always there. I can say. I started back as a kid collecting the comics. The whole Marvel thing,
yep.
and that was a thing that was really hard to collect from over here in
I
Germany.
bet.
Um, yeah, that back in the day, pre-internet, I had to order them through the ads that were in the comic and things like that from the States.
Hmm.
And but we had a cool comic shop here in Frankfurt. There were like two, and there was a possibility that you could always get the latest issue there, and of course also back issues. They had also some back issues in stock, and yeah, but it was constantly like collecting the stuff together, and then I don't know, when was that, 94 or something, when the series dropped off,
Yeah, 90. Yeah, I believe 94.
something like that. Yeah, yeah, and then but I was still collecting because looking for back issues and things like that, and
Hmm.
then yeah, and here we go. And like wasn't that like mid 90s when I remember there when I went to the comic shop and the guy said, "Oh, there's GI Joe's back and
Yep.
everything has changed." And I was thinking, okay, let's see what happens. And then there were like the GI Joe Extreme comic.
That's true. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
like I want to say that came out in 96, maybe 95.
yeah, something
Yeah,
like that.
those
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Frank Miller cover.
Yeah, that when I saw the cover and Dark Horse, the Dark Horse was pretty popular back then
Uh-huh.
with Star Wars and all that stuff. I
Aliens,
thought,
yep.
this maybe it's gonna be pretty cool, but mm,
It went nowhere.
not really, not really. I couldn't really get into it, even if I read all those 6 or 7 issues. Yeah, it was not the same.
Yeah, and then I think Devil's Due started up in I want to say maybe 99 is when they
Yeah,
yeah,
something like that.
90, it might have been around there, maybe 2000. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it was only 4 years of being away, but it felt like an eternity.
Yeah, back then, yeah, for
Yeah.
me, yeah, right, like 10 years or something. I also started collecting them. That of course that was way better again.
Oh, I really
Yeah,
dug the Devil's Due. So I really like that
yeah,
they continued the Hama stories and all that.
yeah. That was cool, but I collected it. I think till the end. But then it got too much for me. There was like Reloaded and Frontline and whatever, like 2, 3, 5, and it was just, I don't know. It was just
Yeah. I
got
it
too much.
the non-Hama stuff has been very confusing to try to keep track of, because they
Hmm.
did between the Reloaded and they've just relaunched it so many times, and now with IDW they have now even a new continuity, which is fun and it's good and all that, but has been very difficult when I go through back issues out here at Golden Apple Comics. I have a hard time putting those in order because I always forget because they all have the same logos. They're all GI Joe, like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
yeah, and I always forget. Oh, did the Cobra Civil War come here, or when did Reloaded happen? What did So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was also a bit too much. And then I got lost of track with the new stuff back then. And only recently I discovered that the new Larry Hama line
uh-huh.
that came out. I tried to dive in there a little bit, but yeah, it's also a bit confusing
Well, now you
keep
can
track.
yeah, sure. Well, now with digital comics, are you able to follow them a little closer?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I tried to get an overview what happened. I think like the first trade paperback from that new series. I got that, and then some loose versions on online comics. So I try to dive into it a little bit, but yeah, I
Well,
haven't really found the time.
it sounds like you're a dedicated fan, and I love it. I love it a lot.
I I'm definitely, yeah.
That's very cool. Do you bring any GI Joe swagger into Torpedohead? Like, do you like wear a GI Joe patch or a Cobra logo or something like that?
Um, I, I just for the episode, I remembered that we had a photo shooting sometime where had a T-shirt with the Cobra logo on. But
Nice.
I can't find that T-shirt anymore.
But were you able to find the photo?
Yeah, it's stashed on some digital CD. I have to dig it out because have so many photo shoots, and yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. How long has Torpedohead been around?
Since 2008.
Oh
Yeah,
wow, that's
yeah,
great.
we got like 3 records out, and I think 2 EPs, and tons of videos. So yeah, we did a lot.
I love it. Well, listeners, check out Torpedohead. You're going to hear him on this episode later on. Sven Spacebrain, I'm really happy to have you join me. So this week we are watching Chips and a Cold, Cold Drink. Had you seen G.I. Joe Extreme before, the cartoon before?
Yeah, I looked at some episodes online.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's strange,
It is different. It is
but
different. Yeah.
it's not that bad.
It's not. Yep.
No. If you it's I think it's better at, than the DIC
Yep.
stuff, because I like that it's a bit more darker, but mainly I think the voice actors are better than in DIC.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
totally agree. I think the voice actors really, really bring it on the show. They do a great job with it, and the stories the stories absolutely belong in the old Sunbow series. I think there's a little less depth to them. Like they're not as there's a little more character that was involved with the Sunbow stuff. This is a little more straightforward, point A to point B to point C.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think the biggest difference and the biggest, I think, drawback for this era maybe was the kind of the design, that little overly exaggerated, overly muscular design. I think that's kind of off-putting.
Yeah, it's a bit like G.I. Joe meets He-Man.
Yeah, very much
It's
so. Every
it's a
time
bit strange.
every time one of their like oversized hands picks up a normal thing like a telephone, my brain breaks and I'm like, how are you just not crushing that telephone?
Yeah, it's a bit strange,
Yeah.
but overall it's pretty cool.
It is.
The intros, these live intros, they're pretty funny.
They're really great.
Yeah.
I'm very quickly falling. I was going to say slowly falling in love with them. No, I'm very quickly falling in love with them. This one's kind of funny though because it's not really live. It's just all CGI on the helicopter. But it's a
Yeah.
fun gags, and I absolutely adore that they are bits from the actual episode that they fleshed out in real life.
Yeah. And there was, I don't know, what is that, episode 1 or somewhere? There was even a Cobra Commander. He had a cameo for like 1 or 2 seconds on a television, and then he's gone. Did you see that?
Was that it? Oh, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think that's their
Well,
it's pretty hard to track this. I think that
Well,
this is hard.
you know what? I think you might be talking about. You might be talking about an episode that I'm actually about to record that we're going to release on this podcast too. They did it's kind of a prequel to this series. It was one episode called Sergeant Savage.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
And Cobra Commander does make an appearance, and so does Hawk and Doc, and I think it's CoverGirl, but I don't think they actually name check her. So that puts Sergeant Savage straight up in G.I. Joe continuity. And yes, Cobra Commander shows up briefly on a little screen, tells the bad guy in that, who's different from this bad guy, tells him basically, you're on your own, go scratch, Cobra doesn't need you. And then the rest of the episode unfolds. So we actually are going to be doing that. I think I probably should have did that before we did this, but it just wasn't on my radar before we started. But we're going to be recording that very soon.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to get into this. Listeners, I hope you're excited to join me on this journey with Sven Spacebrain from Torpedohead in Frankfurt, Germany. While you're online, please follow me at JoeOnJoePod at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Send me an email to joeonjoepod@gmail.com. Let me know, do you want to be a guest host? We're going to knock these the G.I. Joe Extreme episodes out during quarantine. I want to get them all kind of done this month, and then we'll release them over the next couple months. So I need listeners. And this time, because it's not like old school G.I. Joe, I want G.I. Joe fans to really join me. I want guys who know the stuff, because on the regular stuff, I loved having like a lot of my friends on and just a lot of guests who didn't really have a big Joe history. because I could kind of play the role of, oh yeah, well, let me introduce you to the Joes. With G.I. Joe Extreme, I don't know really anything about these guys, so I'm learning along with you guys. So I really want to make this a journey with G.I. Joe fans. So if you guys are out there and you want to join me, it's very easy. All you need is a Skype connection, a microphone, and an internet. So we'll make it happen. So Sven Spacebrain, are you ready to rock and roll here?
I'm ready, man.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, get your videos ready if you guys have a copy of this. I know it's a little hard to track down, but we're getting ready to watch Chips and a Cold, Cold Drink. And here we go.
Hello.
Hello. Reminded of Billy Crystal talking to that cow in City Slickers. Hello. Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
we opened this quote unquote live action, but it's not really live action. It's actually CGI of their plane with Metalhead and Black Dragon having a little witty repartee.
Metalhead skyways, the only way to fly.
So this really is a Metalhead like centric episode. This is all about Metalhead. Which I think is fitting, Sven, that we have you on this episode.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? For the music connection.
The Metalhead, yeah.
Yeah.
Funny that I kept that name.
Yeah. I think it fits, but it is interesting. And Larry apparently he worked on the designs for this stuff, so he helped adapt it. So and you see that in the kind of the similarities, where Black Dragon is a bit of a Snake Eyes, Mayday's a bit of a Scarlet, like that kind of stuff. So you see those influences. I think Harpoon is probably a little like Shipwreck.
And there's Roadblock with Dreadnoughts.
Well, I think Roadblock's more that freight guy, and the Dreadlocks, who is Quick Strike. We just did his episode. He strikes me as being a little more like Stalker meets.
Okay.
But he's also like the ex-Cobra guy, so he's like Stalker meets Mercer, kind of a combination. Yeah. So we open in seems to be jolly old England. And just like in the real intro, Black Dragon and Metalhead are flying in one of their planes, and they're literally asking about potato chips, which is where the name of this show comes from. But I'm sorry, not potato chips. It's actually a joke about fish and chips because they're in England.
Okay.
Did you catch that?
Yeah.
But in the intro, in the live action intro, it is a joke about potato chips. I don't know if you caught that difference, but it's in the live action, you make some reference to past the potato chips, but they're actually talking fish and chips on the episode. I think that's funny, but I like that the cartoon is keeping it real. So Sven, do you have a favorite G.I. Joe character or Cobra character, or like do you lean Cobra or G.I. Joe, or what's your preference?
It's hard to say.
Someone else is having all the fun.
Let me think a moment.
Okay.
I always liked the Snake Eye Storm Shadow thing.
Yeah.
Because those were also like the two first figures I bought instantly. I don't know. I never knew anything when I bought them about them. But they kind of like looked the coolest of them.
Yeah, they did. They really did. So
stuck out.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. So on the show, Rampage, who is that businessman, he's kind of that Destro meets the Incredible Hulk character. So he's the businessman arms dealer who, when he gets upset, he turns into like a green monster. He just gave a microchip to Iron Claw for $1 billion, but now we learn that he also kept the plans for himself, so he's going to double cross Iron Claw and sell 1 million copies of that chip. And the chip, of course, powers this mega weapon that we're going to see later in the show. When you said that you got Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow first, do you remember what iteration, what version of them you got? Like,
Yeah, I think it was the second version. It was Snake Eyes with Timber,
nice.
and but I think it was the first Storm Shadow.
Yeah,
So,
they didn't come out with a second Storm Shadow, I think, until like 88. He was
Yeah.
just the one version of him for a few years.
yeah, that's the two I got. Yeah,
Man, that's so good. That version of Snake Eyes is always gonna be hard to top for me in any action figure ever.
yeah, it's the coolest. Yeah,
Do you still have them?
yeah, of course.
Are
They're not going anywhere.
they? What kind of shape are they in? Have you cleaned them up, changed their O-rings and stuff?
No, they're still actually pretty good.
Oh, good.
Maybe Snake Eyes is a bit, not, I won't say yellow, but of course over the years it's a bit faded, but
Sure.
they're still in good shape.
Oh, that's
I
great.
have these, all in the box with a few other figures like Serpentor and Destro. I've got Destro, yeah.
Which original version of Destro or like the gold
That-
head?
No, the first one. Yeah.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
here we go. Rampage is getting very upset because I almost said Snake Eyes. Black with Black Dragon, he's infiltrating Rampage's house, and he just stole the plans that Rampage put into the safe. And so now Rampage all hulked out, and he sent his soldiers after Black Dragon to chase him. This story's pretty straightforward, but it's got some fun action beats to it, and I think it carries through the show. And you don't even realize that Metalhead's going to be like the main character till about halfway through.
You cut that pretty close. Still,
Metalhead, if there would be like a perfect G.I. Joe universe where the Sunbow and these guys could meet, I think Metalhead, he would go have a party with Footloose.
Oh, absolutely. They
They
would
were like, totally,
man. They would put on some sweet tunes. They would smoke so much ganja.
They would
Absolutely.
hang out in the mauler.
Yep. And I think
like
I feel like rock and roll would hang out with them.
Yeah.
Let's see, who else would? Clutch probably would show up. I feel like some of the OG guys would show up to
Yeah.
play. Yeah. So now we're getting a protracted aerial combat sequence, which is neat. And this is something the show did really well, at least so far, where they go long stretches without any real like dialogue, but they just go for straight action.
And constant music.
Well, yeah, that is true. They do cover it with constant music. Yeah, there's a sequence in this. I think it's later on, or maybe it's part of this, where it looks like they had animated dialogue for Metalhead to say, but the music just covers it. Like they in the mix, they just said no, just go with straight music, and it works though because it gives you this sense of like. It's like you're watching a montage, like a training montage, where they're having conversations, but
Yeah.
we're just going to hear this music and watch and enjoy. So as they're flying over the ocean, all of a sudden a submarine pops up and starts firing all these missiles at our heroes. So their goose is cooked, and we're going to be right back, going to commercial.
We'll be rocking right back.
Today's file card is on the Sky Stalker Squadron leader, Inferno. The member of SCAR, of course. His file name is Kidwell Pyre, Pyre, and his dog tag reads SCAR, Sky Stalker Squadron Leader, say that 5 times, a notorious joker who is anything but funny. Uses newly invented vehicles and gadgets he twistedly calls, quote, toys, to create mayhem and mass destruction. My thoughts on Inferno are all over the place because his name makes you think fire. He carries a flamethrower. His file card says that he invents these vehicles and stuff, which aren't fire related. His name is Kidwell, and they say like he calls them his toys, and yet he looks like a decrepit old man. He actually looks a little bit like the Tinkerer, Marvel's the Tinkerer, and then also Marvel's the Vulture, but he looks a lot like the Tinkerer. And Pyre obviously is a fire reference. I like him, but he's all over the place. Oh, and also for the record, wait a minute, there was one more thing. He's the Sky Stalker Squadron leader, so he's also like the leader of their airplane division. There is a lot going on here, guys. I don't know. I can't say that I enjoy that. I feel like he was a lot of characters squeezed into one. They should have just either made him fire or made him a pilot or made him some kind of tinkerer toy man character. Either way, Kidwell Pyre, Inferno, we salute you.
Okay, buds, we're back. Let's rock and roll.
Back.
Yeah, we're back, buds. G.I. Joe Extreme. So these missiles are flying at our heroes, and they miss, and they hit the bad guys. That's right. They hit those. What were those airplanes called? The Sky Stalkers. They smashed the Sky Stalkers into nothing, and it turns out this is a submarine that's piloted by Harpoon. So it's one of the good guy submarines. It's funny because, like, I certainly don't know this I'm learning this cartoon as we go, and like that wasn't a toy from the cartoon. If you're watching this for the first time, you really don't know if that's a good guy or a bad guy. It's not like the USS Flag showed up and started shooting at Sky Strikers. You'd be like, what's that all about? You genuinely had no idea who was in that submarine.
That will be invincible, but it must be ready soon.
Now, in Germany, did you guys get the cartoons roughly at the same time? Like, was this airing during 95? Did DIC air during, 91, 92, 93?
I didn't see the Extreme cartoon at all. The of course the Sunbow, that's what I taped as a kid.
Yeah.
In the 80s, but then for years I couldn't watch it anymore because it wasn't possible to see it in Germany.
You didn't have a Betamax player anymore.
Oh yeah, I still had some VHS copies, but the DIC stuff, I saw a few episodes, the whole Operation Dragon thing, because back then we had AFN television. Armed Forces Network Television in Frankfurt. And yeah, you could watch that. And I remember seeing it, and it was like, something is strange here. It's not, it's kind of like the old cartoon, but something is different.
Yeah. And then like
I still liked it.
And there was like one or two voices, Cobra Commander and Baroness and for a little bit Destro, who had the same voices. And you were like, maybe? And then no.
Yeah.
When they got to the stuff like was it Resolute and the spy, like the spy commandos stuff, the early 2000s, did those cartoons show up anywhere?
The Resolute, is that the one that's made like they had like these 20 minute episodes and then made it to a movie? You mean that one?
Yes, there was that one. There was Valor versus Venom showed up. I think that was attached to the toys.
Of course that is already was already in the internet era. So I yeah.
Cool. And once the internet popped, then were you able to kind of rekindle and like flesh out your G.I. Joe knowledge, love?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the first step was getting a hand on the DVDs from the Sunbow stuff. That was like, crazy. Like having like all those episodes like on a few DVDs,
Oh, it's great.
When we were used to like getting. Oh no! I remember I got the Rhino release.
Oh yeah.
They had these 3 boxes on video. I ordered them from via Amazon from the States. I kind of forgot all about that. Yeah.
I was so happy when I saw that Rhino was putting those out, man. That was like the greatest day for me. I grabbed that Foot Locker collection they put out that had that had every. I was ecstatic about those releases, just over the moon.
Yeah. So those are still like constant rewatches. The cartoon, I still really love that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, so now Metalhead is breaking. It's basically the Joes went up to this Arctic base of Scars, and their Metalhead is breaking into it because they have to try to stop. Yeah, or Mayday. Yeah, they have to stop. They have to try to stop the using the chip because they figured out what this chip does, and basically we saw it in action. It's a weapon that, like, how would you best describe it? It kind of crushes metal. Like it seems like a concentrated gravity well. Would you agree with that, Sven?
Yeah, maybe.
Because they used it on a shipping boat, and it sort of, I thought it was going to corrode it, but it looked more like it crushed it, like if there was invisible hands just kind of sinking the ship. And that's what the Joes are. They know that Scar has this weapon, so they have to break into their base and.
But the artwork with the shadows are pretty cool.
It is cool. It's a lot. It's a lot for me, but I think that those heavy blacks, I think they actually cover up. They make it look more, give it more production value.
Yeah,
I think than the animation allowed.
A bit like the effect they have on that old Sunbow when they come into a room and there's like kind of like light shining.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. Well, Rampage here, he's very upset. And every time he gets upset, just like the Incredible Hulk, he hulks out. To my knowledge, they never made a Rampage figure. I think he was part of the unproduced line, and I'm getting curious as to whether they would have made him looking like the Hulk. You know, like would he have been green? Would they have made two versions? Like give him some kind of like turn
like
green
two faces?
Yeah, right, exactly. Like. You know, like Zartane, put him in the sun and he turns color. Like, would it have been something like that? That would have been interesting to see. So Metalhead is breaking into the base and he's trying to find this mainframe to hack into it. I like that they set up early on that Rampage is going to double cross Ironclaw, you know, by selling it and making a ton of money. And then that quickly goes away because they stole his plans.
Yeah.
And so now he can't even see his chip be used properly because they keep foiling his plans. His plans go from this massive, I'm going to make my own billions, to now I just want to see my own thing work. And then eventually you get to the end of the episode and just nothing goes right for Rampage. It's all diminishing returns. So we'll be right back.
I'll witness my final victory over G.I. Joe.
They used the old G.I. Joe logo for that again.
Oh, well, I like that that he's calling it his final victory. And it's like, don't you want more episodes of your cartoon? Because if it's your final victory, this cartoon's over.
Yeah.
Like, you like maybe your greatest victory, but if it's your final victory over G.I. Joe, then the show's kind of over, Ironclaw. So Metalhead's all trussed up, and so now it's going to be like a jailbreak kind of a story, and he does a good job with it. I like that they're showing that he's capable because he's so far been portrayed as, you know, a little capable soldier, but a little flaky, you know, whatever. This is really, he's on his own. He has to MacGyver his way out of this and use his brains, and he does a good job with it.
Is he like the computer guy, like mainframe?
Yes, he is.
Totally cool, man.
Totally, man. Just because I cut my hair doesn't mean I can't learn, MS-DOS, man. All right. Just because I got long hair and I got quick fingers, I'm going to type on the keyboard, man. It's all right. So Sven, on my show, we love to ask our guests if you could be a member of the Joe or Cobra team, or in this case, JoJExtreme or Scar, and you can choose, or you could be a Dreadnought. You choose where you want to be. What would you be, and what would your code name be, and what would your specialty be?
Okay, I got the parody version for this, obviously. I would be like the German counterpart to the October Guard, you know?
Nice!
And of course, the classified name of me would be Klaus Dieter, and I would help the Joes get out of Vulcan Kuckucksland, you know?
That's fantastic.
And I have this name, the code name would be Red Herring.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, so I lead them on the wrong way or the good way.
That's fantastic. So now, the German October Guard. So what do you think the name of that group could be? What is what's like a what is a what is German? Is October in German? Is it just October with a K?
Yeah, it's the same.
It's the same?
It's also October. Yeah. I haven't thought that far.
Ooh, how about this?
How
How
it
about
could
this?
sound.
How about this? We just call the team, especially because this is we're technically we're setting it in the 80s. We just call the team the Berlin Wall.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
You know what I'm saying? Like if they
Yeah.
if they had a run in, if the Joes had a run in with the October Guard in Germany, and a third party showed up from the German government, they would totally be called like we are the Berlin Wall, and they're here to stop you from messing with Germany.
Of course, and I would have a leather jacket, and I had a patch over the eye with
Oh yes.
with some radioactive. I don't know what. Just some funny stuff.
Yeah, well, yeah, your eye beam, your
The
eye patch,
X-rays.
your eye patch
Yeah.
shoots radioactive beams, and that's why you
Yes.
you lost the eye due to like radioactive poisoning from some kind of like Chernobyl-esque, misadventure in Eastern,
Of course.
in Eastern Europe, in the 80s. That's how it happened. And
Yeah.
that forever soured you against Western democracy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen, Red Herring, Klaus Dieter, willkommen to JoJExtreme.
Thank you. I'm very honest.
Bienvenue.
Or not.
Bienvenue. Bienvenue. Unglaublich. As you were saying that, your German accent slipped. I just started thinking, am I talking to Nightcrawler? I love it. You were a star in the Munich Circus.
Yes, of course.
No,
There's no problem.
So, did you read any? Speaking of Nightcrawler and X-Men and stuff, was it just G.I. Joe, or were you in any other kind of? You said Mask, I think, a little bit earlier. Were you?
Yeah, from the cartoon wise, I still love that. There are more cartoons like also Centurions. You know them?
Yes, Centurions
Yeah.
are great.
That's really cool. And Mask. Oh yeah, right. And of course, in Humanoids.
Yes, in Humanoids.
That scary cartoon.
Uh-huh.
But they had like I think like all the voices from G.I. Joe. I think
Yeah.
there was also the
Well, I think it might have been Sunbow that did that show.
yeah. It's the same production
Well,
company.
we're about to start our PSAs here. So we're on a baseball diamond, and there's a kid strikes out. Now pay close attention here. These kids, they're yelling at him.
How could you miss that? I can't
Bumps.
play this game anymore. I quit.
yeah.
Now, yeah, Lieutenant Stone.
See the real problem.
Here's my question. So the Lieutenant Stone takes him to an optometrist. He gets him fitted for glasses. Kid goes back on the field. Now he can see. And hey, listen, as someone who's been a lifelong glasses wearer, I appreciate this PSA, right? But I have one big question for you guys, and let's hear this. Let's hear this play out for a second.
Great game.
I see an improvement. Remember, don't avoid a problem.
Knowing is half the battle.
I'm there for that. I'm there for this PSA. I love it. It's not like about, it's not like about the end of the world. It's not about child molestation. It's not about murdering your neighbor with a terrible fort. It's just straight up kids. If you're not seeing well, talk to somebody, get your eyes fixed, right? Here's my question. How in the world did Lieutenant Stone know that kid couldn't see well?
He just knows. Because he's got altered
He just, yeah,
view,
he
something
just
like that.
straight up puffs his chest, gets in that kid's way, and goes, "You're going to the eye doctor." So you're
Come on,
saying,
man, get a glass.
yeah. So it can't possibly be because the kid's terrible at baseball, Lieutenant Stone. Like, first I feel like your first instinct would be, maybe we need to go to the batting cage and work on that swing. Maybe you need to get some hand speed going. No, Lieutenant Stone, who must have an in with like the optometrist lobby, is like, we're taking you immediately to the optometrist. And we're going to get
By
you.
the way, your shoes are like half size too small.
Yeah.
I saw that too.
Oh my god, it's so fun though. I like that PSA a lot. I think that is the perfect everyday message that I think those PSAs they work best with that. I don't ever remember running across a downed power line, but I did remember not being able to see as a kid and not understanding that I should tell someone about it. So I really like that.
Yeah, those are pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm also I should have used that as my excuse for being terrible at any sport that I played. Like, I can't see well.
Well, you should have listened to him.
I know, right? If only I had Lieutenant Stone in my life when I was a youngster. Well, Sven, that's it, man. That's G.I. Joe Extreme. Cold cup. What is it? Chips and a cold drink. What did you think?
Cool. It's better. I think it's better than the comic. The comic, if you have the comic, is a bit lame.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to revisit the comic. I haven't dug it out in years. I do have them. I feel like, and this is me referencing it without looking it up. So I think there were 2 miniseries. I think there's 8 issues total of that.
Yeah,
Does that sound right?
I just reread them last year, and it starts off. And then you kind of lose track because like they start one thing and then they start another thing, and in the end I think they have like two or 3 one-shots, and then they cancel the series. Okay.
So well, yeah, we're gonna get into that. So I'll definitely do an episode on those at some point in the future. But I like the show so far. So far so good. I think the voice acting's great. I think the premises are fun. And the music is, for the 90s, the music is great. It's the same year that had, that rock and roll Spider-Man theme song,
Oh, yeah. Cool.
Well, speaking of music, Sven Spacebrain from Torpedohead, thank you so much for being on Joe, man.
It was really cool. Fun.
Yes.
Really fun,
and
man.
We're going to play, listeners, stay tuned after we wrap the show. We're going to play your track, Heartbleed. Make sure you guys go online and find Torpedohead, find Sven, follow him, help out Torpedohead, spread the word. And Sven Spacebrain has said the first listener who sends a message to Torpedohead at facebook.com/Torpedohead is going to get a free Torpedohead fan pack via the mail. Sven is sending it to you. He's giving you gifts just for saying hi. And I hope you love their song Heartbleed that's going to come up after the credits. Sven, I think you're awesome. I'm so happy that you were able to join me today.
Yeah, thank you, man. I was glad to be on the show.
Well, the pleasure is all mine. And now you, Joe. And Joeing is half the battle. Extreme!